Morning glory and evening grace, America. Merry Christmas to you if you're just joining us. Last week I was in Texas. I broadcast from the American Legislative Exchange Council. And as I was leaving, went by the gas station, $2.55 a gallon, at which point I registered. We got to get Secretary Chris Wright, who heads the Department of Energy, back on the program to talk about why in Texas they are paying $2.55 a gallon. In Oklahoma, $2.36 a gallon, but in California, the average cost of gas is $4.41 a gallon. Secretary Wright, welcome back to the program. Thank you for making time in a busy holiday season. That's the question. Why does it cost so doggone much in California and it's so cheap in Oklahoma?
Hugh, thanks so much for having me, and I'm glad those gas station pumps are delivering on my marketing. So I'm glad they prompted you to call me. But yeah, and Hugh, your numbers, of course, are correct. And if I put a map of like the price of gas across the country, you'll just see uniformly it's higher in blue states than it is in red states. So part of that's taxes. In California's case, it's very high gasoline taxes. They have a special California and custom gasoline blend. The rest of our gasoline is not exalted enough for them to burn in California. And, of course, California is running into a problem because they've got two big refineries that have announced closures that will close in the next 12 months. They won't be able to refine enough of their California gasoline for their California cars. They're the biggest source of internal combustion engines in our country. So they're going to have to have refineries out of state and maybe even in Asia making California blend gasoline coming in. And here, the same is true for electricity prices. You know, the average price of electricity in blue states is 65% higher than it is in the average of red states.
Well, I'm getting there. I've got family up in the Northeast, in Maine and Massachusetts. They're getting hammered on heating their houses. And it's either natural gas or electricity is at fault. I'm going to get the natural gas. Why is that? Why do they not have electric generation capacity in the blue states?
So it's just bad political decisions. Politicians, I think they thought they were in some, climate save the world movement. But if they did the math, they would see everything they've done doesn't even move a needle on U.S., let alone global greenhouse gas emissions. But yet it has huge impacts on prices. In New England, the president and the whole administration are working to bring a solution to that, which is very simple. A natural gas pipeline from Pennsylvania, which is pretty near New England, up to the New England states. There is an existing legacy pipeline. So they do get natural gas from the rest of the country, but it can't deliver enough. So when it gets cold out, you have to prioritize natural gas to keep homes warm, and there's not enough to run the electricity plants. So the gas spikes in price, and it drives up their electricity price. They burn diesel, oil, when it's cold as their marginal source of electricity. So it just drives up electricity prices. A lot of the homes in New England are heated by burning oil, which most houses did 100 years ago. And then as gas came around, people converted their houses to natural gas, which is cheaper and burns cleaner. But in New England, they don't have enough natural gas to convert the oil-burning houses for heating to natural gas-burning houses.
Now, Secretary, let's pause on that for a moment, because I was, again, the ALEC people, I got an earful from the Pennsylvania legislators. They want to build 2 more pipelines across the state of New York, and the state of New York or local jurisdictions therein will not allow them to build the pipeline. Pipelines are safe. They are not ugly. They deliver. It's like blue state on blue state violence. What's wrong with New York?
Just crazy climate politics. They have the best natural gas shale reserves in the world are under Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and New York. And New York has banned it. You can't produce it. So in any case, the President Trump, I'll give him huge credit, and our whole administration has been working hard with New York. One of those 2 pipelines has all the approvals, and it'll break ground next month. That is going to lower heating prices, electricity prices in Long Island and parts of New York City. So that's a huge deal. The bigger one that would feed upstate New York and all the 6 New England states, that one we're still working on, but it's politics in New York. It's It's crazy that it's in your political best interest to have high prices, but what I think it is you're viewed as a climate criminal if you're common sense today and you don't get the low prices for another couple of years. So it's not in the interest of New York politicians. But we need to find a way to build that pipeline because it'll change the cost of energy for upstate New York and all 6 New England states. I am committed personally, as is Secretary Burgum, as is President Trump, to bring that relief to Americans in New England.
A week ago on Special Report, we were talking about affordability on the panel. And I said, I hope the issue remains affordability because if we keep producing energy at the rate of increase that Secretaries Wright and Burgum are overseeing, the cost of everything will go down. Was I talking through my hat or was I talking truth?
I smiled from ear to ear as I heard you say it. I watched it. I saw you on that show. But no, it's exactly right, Hugh. And as I know you know well, it's the basic infrastructure of an economy is energy. You can't make anything or do anything without energy. It's a huge variable in the cost of food, in the cost of housing, in the cost of products. So yes, if you make energy cheap, exactly as you said, you lowered the price of everything. That is President Trump's agenda. Lower the price of goods across this country. Not only does that make life more affordable, but if you lower the cost of energy, businesses will relocate to your community. Jobs and wages will get bid up. Our agenda, lower costs, raise wages. Pretty simple.
I also say energy is freedom. That means China is trying to develop AI like we are. They are building the electrical production facilities to power AI, and we are not. So where do we stand on the modular reactor front, Secretary Wright?
Again, great. Yeah, if you look at those profiles, you're right. If Harris had won the election, there's no way we could lead China in AI. They're screaming up their electricity production. Ours has been stagnant for 2 decades. So aggressive actions are being taken so that we can and we will and we are today growing electricity production in the United States. But 4 years of devastating policies from Biden at the national level and blue state policies, in half the states in our country, have dug us in a hole, but we're reversing that hole. We're stopping the closure of coal plants, stopping the closure of gas plants. Heck, we had to stop the closure of hydroelectric dams in Washington state. We're permitting new, affordable, reliable electricity. We're changing some rules that were just silly that reduce the output of power plants. So believe me, we are all in to make it. So as fast as the hyperscalers can build data centers, we're going to get electricity to them.
Now let me throw you a curveball, Secretary Wright. I had lunch today with an expert on South America who told me that Bolivia, which has turned to the right, thank goodness, to free market, is the home to a lot of natural gas. They're landlocked. They need to build a pipeline. And they've got the critical rare earths that we need. Do you do any of the international stuff, or is that all up to Secretary Rubio, or do you work with him on that? Because we got to get Bolivia on our team and producing the stuff that we can't have in the United States. It's not here.
And both of those are absolutely true. Bolivia has immense gas resources and incredible mining and mineral resources, as that whole corner of South America does. And no, energy is a global phenomenon. So I am working with the president and Secretary Burgum and Secretary Rubio around the world on energy policy issues. So we do international stuff. I realize, and SMRs, small modular reactors that you just asked about, the president's goal was to get 3 of them, critical meaning running, by July 4th of next year, the 250th anniversary of our country. An aggressive goal, but I actually believe we're going to do it. We will have at least 2. I believe we will have 3 by July 4th of next year. So these are coming, and these are private companies with innovations and private capital. All we're doing is enabling those companies to get running, but the time of small modular reactors is coming now.
Now, Secretary, I don't want to tell anyone where they are because then we'll get local environmentalist wackos parading against them. But do you have any doubt about their absolute safety? Because I don't, because the United States Navy's been running small modular reactors for, 50 years, 60 years. Do you have any doubt in your mind about them?
Zero doubt. No, it's the safest way to produce energy on the planet, full stop.
I wish, we're going to replay that again and again and again. Secretary Wright, I thank you for your time today. Come back and check in at least quarterly with us on all this because energy is freedom and you're in charge of freedom because you're in charge of the Department of Energy. Thank you for spending some time with me.
Thanks, Hugh. You're the best.
I don't know about that, but I do know that energy is freedom and we need more of it. And thank goodness President Trump is an all of the above guy, as is Secretary Wright, Secretary Burgum. And I found out today, Bolivia, who knew? Who knew that Bolivia had all the rare earths that we need, America? They do. And luckily, that government has taken a turn to the right after decades of communists, basically decades of radicals. The people of Bolivia said, we'd kind of like to improve our standard of living. That means go get our rare earths and sell them to the United States. That's good news. Don't go anywhere, America. I'll be right back on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Portions of The Hugh Hewitt Show are sponsored in part by Prison Fellowship's Angel Tree.